No, I know. I got you, Jordan. I got you.
I'll do whatever I want, Jordan.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Stochastic.com NBA strategy show right here on the Stochastic YouTube channel. Hey, man, I got to tell you, last night was a crazy night of basketball. Crazy night of basketball.
Yeah.
Embiid goes for 70. I'm on my way to hockey, and it's like end of third quarter, Embiid's got 59. I'm going, oh, my God. Then I look at the Timberwolves game, and Cat's got 43 at halftime.
He was 8 for 8 from 3 to start.
Yeah, I think he finished like 10 for 12 or something. He goes on to score 62, and they lose at home as 14.5-point favorites to the Charlotte Hornets. That's not even getting into like the crazy. I mean, Luka Doncic had a huge game. There were some phenomenal performances. But Joel Embiid dropped 70 on Kobe's 81-point anniversary. Towns goes for 62 in a home loss. Pretty wild day of basketball, man.
Karl-Anthony Towns was the 6th highest scorer on FanDuel yesterday, and he scored 62 real points.
Well, hold on. So Embiid, Doncic,
Giannis.
Giannis finished ahead of him.
Giannis had 79.75 yesterday.
Played on DraftKings, and I believe Cat had 75.
Giannis had 31 points, 17 boards, 10 assists, and 5 stocks yesterday. So Embiid beat him, Luka beat him, Giannis beat him, Tatum beat him, and Durant beat him.
And he had 62 real points.
Yeah. I wouldn't even be able to explain that to somebody before lock if you gave me that information.
No. Dude, Embiid dropped 105 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
You need
70, 18, 5, and 2.
We need to start like measuring him in points per minute, but not fantasy, just like points per minute and then fantasy points per second.
2.88 last night. 4 people crested 2.
Well, how many minutes did he play? 37, I think.
36.6.
36.6, and he had 70 points.
It was bonkers.
Wembanyama was solid too. It's just him and Collins got destroyed defensively. By the way,
as they were going to.
I don't know if you saw the stuff with Pop saying like we're gonna hammer his ass and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like if you go and actually watch that, it was so tongue in cheek. Like he was joking around on the size difference between Wembanyama and Embiid. Like knowing Embiid he's gonna back his butt up into his chest and he's gonna back him down. Like he obviously knew that this was not a particularly good matchup on the defensive end.
Not only that, it's not like Joel Embiid saw that and used it as motivation. He also knew that it wasn't real.
Obviously. And then also
Pop knew he was going to get the business for 48 minutes yesterday.
There was a clip out there of Embiid coming out and reacting when he saw Victor Wembanyama, like looking at him and like doing a face and then doing the cross. That also wasn't him being like, oh man, I'm going to kill this guy. That was him going, holy shit, look at the size of him. Like seriously, he looked up at him like,
he gets what he's doing. He's an entertainer.
Yeah, of course. But he looked up at him like he's a freak. And
because he is.
He's an absolute freak. Yeah.
You ever see that picture of him like holding a baseball and stuff? It looks like me holding a golf ball.
Did you see the still shot from a few days ago of him dunking over Marvin Bagley? I'll have to show it to you. It looks like
for it.
Yeah, it looks like someone that's
I actually did see this.
Looks like someone that's not from this planet against a midget, except Bagley's 6'10".
Yeah. He's a monster for real. It's so much limbs.
Yeah, he is the balloon guy outside of a car dealership, except athletic.
He's incredibly athletic. He can like fold himself in half.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fun day.
Incredible dexterity.
Hell of a day. We got 5 games today. Happy you guys are with us. Happy Tuesday.
Woo! Hold up. Miami is nearing a trade to acquire Charlotte's Terry Rozier for a package sending Kyle Lowry and draft compensation that includes a first-round pick.
Really? Yeah, from Shams. All right. Well, it won't affect today's games.
I wonder if Kyle Lowry ends up in LA now.
Think they could
Just
use
gonna
him?
go out on a limb and say the Charlotte Hornets buy him out.
You don't wait.
I think
You don't
Kyle
think
Lowry has gotten fat before. Let's see how much he eats when he gets to Charlotte.
you don't think he's a foundational part of the rebuild?
He's gonna be the foundation, literally, man. They're gonna build on top of him. He will be the full base of a building.
Hey, he's Josh Engleman. I'm Dave Loughran. We got a 5-game slate today. Glad you guys could be here. If you haven't done so yet, take 1 single second, hit that thumbs up. Atone for your sins on a Tuesday morning. That's it. Just a subtle reminder. I know we forget. That's okay. That's why I'm here. Hit that thumbs up. Get us north of 100 here, and subscribe to the channel. Help us get to 100K. That'd be awesome, man. And if you're watching or listening after the fact, leave a comment down below. We try and read and respond to all of them. And also, if you guys ever want to listen in podcast form, you had a lot of snow out here in the Northeast lately, in the Midwest. Maybe you're out there shoveling the driveway. I got the snowblower out. You don't want to turn your phone off. You don't have YouTube Premium, all that good stuff. Apple Podcast, Spotify, we're out there as well. So feel free to check that out. But 5 games, Josh, few good ones. You saw the Halliburton news this morning?
I did, right in the middle of me recording a bunch of shit that had Halliburton in.
Yeah, so he's out for the next 3 games for rest purposes, which is kind of odd. I mean, if you're going to attribute that to rest purposes after a 1-game return, I mean, maybe that's what it is, but it seems odd.
Well, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just,
It doesn't
I
matter.
don't get it.
All I'm saying is it seems odd.
It does. It does. Just say he's hurt. Who cares?
That's what I'm say he wasn't ready to return at last game and we did it anyway.
If he felt good, he's playing.
Exactly. Or like, all right, we'll sit him out for rest for a day. But no, 3 games. Whatever, he's out. There are a few, just to kind of set the table here, a few pieces of injury news that are, significant enough. Like the Halliburton one, obviously, you have Nembhard and Isaiah Jackson questionable, Hartenstein questionable for the Knicks. The only other big piece that we already have, and is clearly going to play a role in today's slate, is this 10 o'clock game with LeBron James already being ruled out.
It's crazy because none of this trade, all of LeBron being out, none of it's the most interesting news that happened this morning. Do you know what that is?
Tell me.
You might not think it's interesting, but it is incredibly interesting. Netflix is getting into live sports. They have purchased the live rights to WWE Monday Night Raw.
Oh, yeah, that's not interesting.
10 years, $5 billion deal. They are paying $500 million a year for Raw. That is the first time that we've had live events like this head to Netflix. That's an interesting dynamic for what it brings in the future.
It is cool. I mean, it doesn't move the needle or do anything for me because I don't watch that. But
it will in the future.
Not for me. Oh, you're saying if it expands to other sports, yeah.
Because now they're in, and now we can see what that looks like on the Netflix platform, which is obviously, that's a lot better than, oh no, the football game's on Peacock.
And it's for sure, yeah. Oh my God, and it's for sure different than Hulu. Like Hulu has live sports, but Hulu has live sports is not Hulu exclusives.
Right.
It's just them having like a licensing agreement with.
Yeah.
With
they don't have. I don't think they have exclusive live rights to anything, to my knowledge.
Right, but you're saying with Netflix, this is a Netflix thing.
Yeah, the only place to catch Monday Night Raw in the United States live will be on Netflix.
I wonder what else that could happen with.
I mean, I think the floodgates open. We have no idea what their live product will be like. What they could add to what we know of as live sports could change in the way that it's presented on screen. Like, it's different when it's Netflix. That's real. Like, I love the Apple presentation for MLB this year. I love that they've got like advanced data on the screen.
It's kind of neat. Yeah. They're trying new stuff, if nothing else.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want to hit you with that because that will impact the sports that we cover in the future in some way. I don't know when or where that'll be. I mean, the NBA rights are coming up too. Who knows?
It'll happen for sure. And you see it with football happening a lot already, right? Like Prime has all Thursday games. You had the
Yeah.
Peacock games. Yeah, you're right.
I think that's a bad look for the NFL, but we'll see.
Well, I said it with baseball. Like, you have in the Philly area, there's old people love the Phillies, just
Yeah.
love the Phillies, right? You know this. You're from the area. Like, they
And you're like,
love
oh, the game's on Amazon. You're like, what? The
exactly
place where you get books?
right. Like, your 80-year-old grandma has to watch it on Facebook.
Yeah.
It sucks. I know there's 162 games, but like
Yeah.
you gotta find a better way to make it more accessible to some people. But whatever, doesn't matter. You ready to get into this?
I am.
All right. 5 games. We'll kick it off with the Indiana Pacers, the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets on the road, 5-point favorites here. Halliburton's out. Nemhard, Jackson questionable. We can start with Denver though. What's up?
Ooh. I was just looking at I was looking at the details of the pick. 2027 first, lottery protected, and then unprotected in 2028.
Unprotected in 2028. Okay. All right.
It's a good little piece of business for the Hornets.
Yeah, it's such a wild sport where you can trade a draft pick for 40 years from now.
That's only 4 years.
I know. All right. So let's start it off with this, right? At the top, and we can kind of just hone in on this with Denver, but at the top, you have Jokic against the Pacers in this game. You have Anthony Davis with no LeBron. On DraftKings, he's $1,000 less expensive than Jokic. You have SGA in a pretty decent 14-point favorite spot, 234.5 total game against Portland today. No Halliburton, no James. So on a 5-game slate, lay the foundation here. Lay the Kyle Lowry, as you might say. You have Nikola Jokic, Anthony Davis, and SGA. Those are really your only guys that are really high priced on this slate.
Yeah, 11-2 for Jokic, 10-2 for AD, 10K for Shea, and then $1,300 gap before you get to Jalen Brunson.
So what are we doing with Jokic today? We can take a look at the boom bust tool ownership. Jordan hopefully ran the Sims. We can pull up exposure to Denver as well.
Play him. I think he looks fine. Like, he's 16.5% owned. We got him at 18% optimal. I think that looks about right. I only have 10% right now, but that's not due to like any specific reason that I have against Jokic. I think it's probably a little bit easier to get to Anthony Davis, and you're seeing that in the ownership. He's 26% right now. Shea is 27. It's just always going to be easier to get to non-center only dudes. But yeah, I mean, on a 5-game slate, a dude that's a 1.7 fantasy point per minute guy, 28% usage, 40% assist rate, 20% rebounding rate, makes those numbers sound so pedestrian when you talk about Joel Embiid the day before as like a 2 fantasy point per minute guy. And it's just like, oh, here comes this Jokic guy at 1.7. But yeah, no, he looks fantastic and should have no problems against Indiana.
I love Jokic today. I mean, first of all, value is not going to be that tough to come by. The only problem is, you're playing Jokic, just going to be like tethered to the Rui Hachimura lineups. Not to say that most won't be. I mean, Rui's going to be in a lot of lineups today, for sure.
He is. He's in a lot of mine.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's probable, by the way, just in case anyone was wondering. I know he has that Q tag next to him, but he's probable. And then there is other legitimate value on this slate. Maybe nothing that jumps off the page, but a few spots that you're going to be able to get to sub 4K. Jokic against the Pacers. I know that Halliburton is out, and that doesn't exactly help keep this game super competitive. But this, as good as the Nuggets are, they're not the same team on the road as they are at home. This game moved from 5 to 4.5, as a matter of fact. Not significant, but still. And you're talking about a fast-paced team and still a Pacers team that can score the basketball, even without Halliburton on the floor. 239 total, highest on the slate. So, yeah, man, you're right. It's tough not to look at Jokic. And yes, if you're comparing it to yesterday's Joel Embiid performance, 70 and 18, sure. But still just a spectacular spot for him today.
It is. He's not the guy that I have the most. He's second for me on Denver. I am getting to a bit more of $8,400 Jamal Murray.
Well, it's a good spot for everyone in Denver.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, this is a dream matchup. 27th in defensive rating for Indy, 4th in pace. Like, this is just, and like, Siakam coming in isn't slowing down their pace in any way. He's a transition maven as well. So this is a great spot for Denver. They're 29th in pace. So like this is about as big of a pace up spot as you can get against about as bad of a defense as you can get. This is a really nice spot for Denver. The problem for Denver really is just that they never really have anybody missing any time. Like their main 5 guys have played every single game over the past 10 games. Like they've had the same starters, same everything, clear across the board. But we have seen minutes start to ramp up. Last 5 games for Jamal Murray, 34, 36, 38, 37, 38. They were starting to creep back up over that like 32 mark where he was sitting pretty regularly. I went 35 for Murray. He's a 1.25 fantasy point per minute guy in a fantastic spot. He's the guy I'm getting the most. I currently have 20% of Murray. And Hornets are immediately planning to buy out Lowry.
I thought it said are not. No, the Hornets have no immediate plans to work on a buyout with Lowry.
They're going to try to work another
the
trade first. Yeah,
right. Which makes sense.
Yeah. They're not, and I'd be surprised if they could flip them.
Jokic plus 145 the triple double on DraftKings. This is why you odd shop too, line shop plus 170 on FanDuel. So that's a nice little difference there, especially when you're getting something, that isn't, astronomical odds. But no, the Hornets, I mean, this game in general, not the Hornets, the Nuggets, there's definite spots. And you mentioned Jokic, you mentioned Murray. None of them are pulling crazy ownership though. Like what about $5,900 Aaron Gordon in a spot like this? Or is there any room on a slate like this for a $4,100 Reggie Jackson, given, that you're not going to see massive minutes from him?
I don't yes, because it's a 5-game slate. But no to me in that we already have a lot of really good value, whether that's coming in from the Lakers side, some pieces on Indy. We have some cheap players out there for today, so it's not as necessary to get to Reggie Jackson. I do have a couple shares. I think he's totally fine to get to in that like 5 to 10% range, but I find him less interesting than he would have been if like LeBron was in.
What about on the Pacers side without Halliburton? I mean, that you're taking him off the floor, a guy that, not only a relatively high usage rate, but one of the best playmakers, one of the best facilitators in the game. How do we distribute not just, the usage and the assist opportunities, right? Just the overall ball handling, but the appeal for some of these guys. Cause I'm looking at our ownership, and I assume that we've updated it since we got the Halliburton news, right? I mean, I
don't think we have.
Okay. I thought we were.
In fact, put it this way. We definitely haven't updated it correctly because TJ McConnell's not going to be 1% owned.
That's where I was going with this. The question was going to be, and that's what I was leading up to. Like if Halliburton is off the floor and you're losing so much, right? Like this isn't just taking a Buddy Hield off the floor or a Mathurin. This is taking Tyrese Halliburton, one of the best players in basketball, off the floor. And then you've got a $5,500 TJ McConnell. That has to come up considerably, right? Like, where would you think he should be?
So it's tricky because we also have a Q tag on Andrew Nembhard right now. Yes. And that is really, that's going to be the part that tells you whether or not you get all of the TJ McConnell or that he's just like a solid value. He's not a 1% owned dude, no matter what happens in that scenario. Like we just talked about Reggie Jackson pulling like 9%. Like TJ McConnell is going to be more than 5% owned in this scenario. Assuming like he started the last game, Nembhard was in. So they started TJ McConnell and they brought Nembhard in off the bench. I basically went 24-24 for these guys right now. Don't have a really great feel of how that's going to happen. If Nembhard ends up out, then you're obviously feeling a lot better about projecting the minutes to TJ McConnell. So I got 12% of him. He is also projected for 1% ownership. So a lot of that is happening. Like I said, I went 24 minutes. I got him at 28 fantasy points. I think he certainly is one of the better options for Indy and could look like the best option from Indy if Andrew Nembhard ends up out. Now, if we get Andrew Nembhard starting, then you start thinking about a 26-minute game for Andrew Nembhard as a very different guy with no TJ McConnell on the floor. He'll start to pull a little bit of love, but McConnell starting and Nembhard out is the way that you get to like chalk TJ McConnell today.
What do you make of the TJ McConnell rotations last game, though? That was kind of odd, right? I mean, He starts the game, plays 4 minutes 46 seconds, doesn't return till like 3 minutes into the second quarter, plays another 4 minutes, starts the third quarter, plays 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Granted, no foul trouble. It's TJ McConnell, and then doesn't re-enter the game.
I don't know.
That was
I don't
odd.
know.
Like, did you
Very
see the
well.
closing? Did you see the closing lineup in this?
Yeah, they didn't close. Well, I mean, Miles Turner was minus 25 in 18 minutes. So they buried him for Obi Toppin.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which, so basically, they go to Siakam at the 5 in that scenario. And then, Nembhard closed over TJ McConnell. Which is why Nembhard will look interesting if he's in. The worst case scenario here is if they run it back the same way they did and TJ McConnell starts, but Nembhard is in. Then it gets really ugly between the two of them. And you probably don't feel great about what you're doing.
Yeah, it's just tough. You get McConnell starting and playing 12 minutes without Halliburton. Now, if Nemhard's out, to your point, then that changes a lot.
Yeah, you're giving him at least 28 minutes probably in that scenario.
Changes a ton.
Yeah.
But we currently have Nembhard in.
Yeah. Miles Turner looks great. He's projected for 13% ownership. We have him as a slightly under leveraged or over. He has slight positive leverage. 6,400 certainly works. Tough matchup, obviously, having to deal with Nikola Jokic on the opposite side. Siakam is 8% owned, 7,800 power forward center. We don't really know what his role is just going to look like for this team, so it makes it a little tricky, especially with no Halliburton here. I mean, he is the offense, so to speak. We're talking about he is a guy that is a all NBA talent without Tyrese Halliburton being on the floor here. So he could look incredible, does look incredible in our projections right now. 16% optimal, 8% ownership, very high leverage.
That last game was just so weird, though. I mean, I have to think that's more of an outlier than anything. If you look at all of the minutes, Buddy Hield played 31, Siakam played 30. No one else played more than that. Like, no one played more than 31 minutes. It was just all mid-20s for everybody, or 30, low 30.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it just went really bad for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, and they were just like, we'll try anything after that.
It does look that way. And you can see, like, there were parts of that game where the Suns just started running over them, and then they kept getting it back, and then it kept going south again. So I don't know. That feels like an outlier game, right? Just as far as rotations go.
Yeah. And look, and we need that Isaiah Jackson news. Like, I don't think he's a part of the rotation anymore, but he certainly doesn't make you feel any better about trying to get to like a Jalen Smith at any point in time. But that Nembhard piece is the driver for everything now for Indy.
What about Buddy Hield, 5,800? Look, in many cases, the guy is scoring dependent, but it is funny too. He has 2 of his last 3, 7 and 8 assists. I mean, that's not something you're going to get used to, but $5,800 Hield with no Halliburton in this game.
I don't have any. He grades out really well in our stuff. We went 31 minutes. I only went to 30. I don't mind it. Like, he's certainly in the mix as a guard forward eligible guy. He's around a 0.9 fantasy point per minute dude. It just makes me a little nervous because, like, you expect the minutes to be there, but all it takes is a couple missed threes out of the gate, and all of a sudden Benedict Mathurin is picking up an extra rotation over top of him. So I think, being in that 5 to 10% owned range is where you should be. We got to remember, for all as good as this matchup is for Denver, it's equally as awful for Indiana. 29th in pace for the Nuggets. Yep. They're 13th defensively, so they're not bad. They're a completely average team. This is a rough spot for Indy. The only thing that would be worse here for the Pacers is if this was in Denver.
If this was in Denver, it'd be a lot worse. Anybody else from this one?
I don't think so. Like, Nesmith is always in play because he plays. I don't have a ton. Like, if Nembhard ends up out, then you start like allowing for more minutes. You feel a little bit better about getting to a Benedict Mathurin. Like, if Mathurin's unowned and Hield's mostly unowned, like, you can take flyers on those guys. But to me, the best guy that you can get to in this game right now is either Miles Turner or TJ McConnell.
Okay. And on the other side, Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic.
Correct.
Let's keep it moving then. Because we got the Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets. All right. Well, a little bit different game here. New York Knicks, by the way, man, Manuel quickly. Well, the crazy thing is yesterday, the peripherals were fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I'm looking at this. It's like Through three quarters, dude had attempted three shots, had 3 points.
He had eight points, 5 boards, 10 assists, 2 steals. Not going to get it done.
I'm saying though, even a decent game, like volume from a shooting standpoint, you're looking at that and you're very happy with it.
Yeah, I wish he would have just took a couple extra shots because I had a bunch of quickly.
He was uninterested. Anyway,
Yeah.
Knicks on the road against Brooklyn, 4.5 point favorites, 223 total here. All right, so we can get into the top. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, two, mid to high 8K options here. Isaiah Hartenstein, this is another one. He's pulling 11% right now, but tweak the ankle. I think there's a very good possibility that he does not play in this game. And could he play? Obviously, yeah, he could. But you're talking about somebody that did not practice yesterday, was, tweaked his ankle on what, Saturday? Didn't
Yeah.
return, didn't practice yesterday. Generally speaking, that would indicate that he could have a tough time getting on the court tonight.
Yeah, and he's a much better play on FanDuel too. He also has power forward eligibility there. But if he's out, you're going to find yourself getting to quite a bit of Precious Achiuwa, $4,200 power forward center on DK. So if we don't get Hartenstein, Precious Achiuwa is going to climb the ranks of high level value plays for the day. So keep your eyes peeled there. If he's in, like I'm more than okay getting to a little bit of him. 6,500 should own the boards here. We've got him as a slightly positive leverage option, 14% optimal, 11% owned. Not somebody that I am currently getting to, but I would have no problem getting to him. The guy that I'm getting to the most here is Julius Randle. I am very, very heavy on him right now. 8,600 power forward center, projected for 12% ownership. He's currently in 32% of my lineups.
32%. Okay.
Yep. And I got a little bit of Brunson as well right around the field. I think those two guys are really the only two guys you feel great about. You can work in Josh Hart, you can work in Hartenstein, you can work in OG, but I think Randall and Brunson are the quote unquote priorities from the Knicks.
Yeah, everyone else is kind of just filler in a team like this.
Yeah.
If Hartenstein is out though, let's just talk through this for a second with me here, because in the event that he's out, you see what, more Jericho Sims, more Precious Achiuwa. What if Sims starts in this game at 3,500?
I mean, I got him at like around 5x at that point. I gave him 22 minutes. He's like a 0.85 fantasy point per minute guy normally. You're certainly getting to him on a 5-game slate then for some of the value, but you're going to feel a lot better getting to Precious Achiuwa, even if he doesn't start, just because of that power forward eligibility.
What do you think the minutes would look like here?
I don't know, like 20 to 22 for Sims starting, and probably like 26, 27 for Precious off the bench.
Yeah.
That's what they've done in the past generally. I don't know, 24 if you want to be like as pessimistic as possible.
Precious Achiuwa would actually look pretty good.
And S&P just said, Tibbs mentioned yesterday that Randall and OG could play the 5 if Hartenstein sits. Does he do it? Probably not. They are uniquely set up to do that, like to go to a Randall at the 5 more now, having OG Anunoby as another defender in comparison to where they were before. So that is more viable, and certainly viable against Brooklyn.
Yeah, for sure. And just throwing it out there, I don't know how pertinent this is, because when a guy gets hurt mid-game and a coach has to make adjustments, oftentimes, those aren't the same adjustments that you're going to make when you have time to actually prepare for the starting lineup and everything. Yeah. But when Hartenstein went down with that ankle late in the third, Precious Achiuwa actually played over 15 minutes to close out the game. He played 15 straight minutes. Geez, he had 14 points in the fourth quarter last game. But yeah, Jericho Sims, the only time he saw was mop up duty for about 3 minutes. Now, again, how much does that mean? I don't really know, because Hartenstein went down late in the third, but Precious Achiuwa did play 15 plus minutes to close that game out.
Yeah, he's going to look fantastic if he's starting.
Yeah. What about on the other side with Brooklyn? There's no injury news here outside of, Sharp is still out, and shockingly Ben Simmons has not returned to the court yet.
Yeah. What a
Nick,
dude. I hate it. Like, I just wish he still was just fine and none of this ever happened.
yeah, I'm sure you did.
He was good.
Yeah, he was
He
great.
was good.
He was
And
awesome.
then I don't know what happened, but he just
I'll tell you what
stopped
happened.
being good.
Passing up a layup in game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Hawks. That's what happened. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, that did just kind of,
Ever since then, seriously, ever since then, that was the last game that he was even remotely normal. Ever since that happened, it was over for him.
it
It
was
short
so bad.
circuited.
It really did. It really did.
How about Nick?
Well,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, at least that means that I can get to Spencer Dinwiddie today for Brooklyn. 5,600 point guard, shooting guard, only projected for 12% ownership. This is a guy that I'm quite a bit over on at this particular moment. I think it's just a salary thing. His minutes have been climbing a little bit, and that to me is a little bit of a benefit. 33 last time out, 33 the game before that, 32 and a half game before that. He had been like teetering around the 30 mark recently. We have him projected for 30. I think that is slightly, it's like the lowest possible end I would want to go, but I think you could feel a little bit more comfortable grabbing some extra time, especially with this one being in Brooklyn. So he is a guy that I'm taking a bit of a stand on. I'm getting to Claxton right now. He's 16% owned. I'm doubling up the field there. In that same tier as Miles Turner, I don't have much to say. We have him quite negatively leveraged, so it's possible this changes a little bit later. I do have an extra minute going to Claxton at this point, and then I'm getting a little bit of Mikal Bridges, 7,500. You get guard forward. He's a fantasy point per minute dude, plays the most minutes of anybody on the team. Those are really the only three guys that I think you can justify today.
Yeah, look, Claxton is at least night in and night out a guy that's live to give you 30 plus minutes, 45 fantasy. Like at that price point, I don't think you're going to have any argument with something like that at all.
No,
So yeah, Claxton looks perfectly fine. Aside from that, yeah, I mean, it's really just like you said on the other side, Randall, Brunson, Claxton, Dinwiddie, and then I mean, 9% Bridges, but aside from that, there's nothing down here.
there's not. There's really not.
All right, let's keep it going. Hey, can we talk prize picks for a second?
We certainly can. Let's not
All
talk
right.
about how I did on prize picks yesterday, though.
All right, fair enough. You know what I will say? Christian McCaffrey, free square for the championship, NFC championship against the Lions. Legitimate free square, 1 yard. So over a half a yard, or take under for all you want. I wouldn't. I would suggest the opposite of that. Free square on Christian McCaffrey, 0.5 rushing yards, Josh, against the Lions this week. If you're not on prize picks yet and you're like, oh, wait, there's a free square, so I can already just immediately spike my chances of winning, plus get 100% deposit bonus up to $100. And I bet you didn't know this. A free month of everything we have over at OddsShopper. So you use the link in the description, right? If you go directly there, you're not going to get it. Use the link in the description or the one in chat. Okay. Jay Valentine said, what's up, Joseph Valentine? Said Lions are going to stop CMC this, maybe, but not for less than a yard.
Yeah.
Maybe not for less than a yard though. Use the link in the description or in chat. You're getting a first match deposit bonus up to $100, 100% match. So even if you only put 20 in or 10, you're matching it. So now you have 20 or now you have 40. But also over at OddsShopper, our wonderful betting site with all of the plus EV tools, the parlay builder, the pick'em builder, all of that is entirely free for the 100% of the month. That's another $50 value. You get it entirely free if you wanted to check that out. And Josh, the free square makes a lot of sense because you're going over there, you're going, all right, let me check this out. So what am I doing? I'm putting all these overs or unders together. And if I hit, 5 of 5, I 10X. If I hit 6 of 6, I 25X. I even 2X if I hit 4 of 5. And there's a million different sports. They got the Demons and Goblins now, which is essentially alt lines. Lot going on over there. No reason not to check it out if you haven't checked out Prize Picks yet.
And I'm in those streets Monday through Friday. Check the OddsShopper YouTube channel. I'm putting up 2 plays every single day, or follow me on Twitter.
Give me one of them today.
I'll give you, let's see, which one do I want to give you? I'll give you the one I like more. Zion Williamson, less than 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists against Utah.
Okay.
That's where I'm at for today.
Right. Not over, under, more or less.
Yes. Yes. I've got that programmed into my head. Trust me, I hate it.
Yeah, but I get it. All right. I was looking at
Uh,
Justin Tucker over 1.5 field goals here. That feels like the type of game that's just going to be a war of attrition between the Chiefs
who
and the Baltimore Ravens.
who wins both games?
I got to tell you, I think first of all, I like Baltimore at home. I do like Baltimore. I think Lamar finally gets that monkey off his back, gets to the big game. I think the Lions can win.
Okay. Well, I'm cheering for the Chiefs and the Niners, so we're off to a great start.
As of when? 5 seconds ago?
No, that would be who I'm cheering for.
Chiefs and the Niners, you said?
Yeah.
For
I
what
just
reason?
want like the best spectacle. And I don't give a shit if the Lions are in the Super Bowl, and I certainly don't care if Baltimore is.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Give
Why
me
not?
I want Taylor
Baltimore.
Swift and Jason Kelsey doing wild shit
Oh
at the
God,
Super
dude,
Bowl.
Baltimore is an awesome team.
Eh, eh.
All right. The only problem is I think Baltimore could steamroll the Lions. Like in my opinion, the best matchup is Ravens Niners. To me, that's the best matchup. That would be the most fun. Ravens Niners would be sick, man. But Brock Purdy did not look particularly good. I mean, they barely beat the Packers at home. It's one game. Deebo Samuel could be out. I think the Lions, if there was ever a chance for them to be actually live heading into a game like this, it is right now. So should be fun, man.
I definitely don't want the Lions to win.
Yeah, because you're weird like that. You're what? Okay, yeah, because you think it would be a worse game.
Yeah, no, I won't care as much.
You won't care anyway. Let's talk
That's
about
very true.
Portland and OKC.
Who's the halftime show?
No idea. That's one thing I truly don't care about
Ever?
ever. Like the
You
Eminem
didn't like
50
the
Cent.
rap one? You didn't like Snoop and Dre and Eminem and 50 Cent and stuff? No?
No, I
No.
thought it was average.
Well, you're average.
Fair enough.
Usher,
Some
Reba
some people would
McEntire,
say that.
Post Malone. Okay. I
Some
don't
people
who
would.
what
Uh,
why are those three people doing things together?
I, dude, I used to hate Post Malone because I thought it was just this corny music. I actually think he's pretty good. Like
I'm a fan.
it's the catchiest music ever. And then he did the Nirvana like cover tribute thing during COVID as the fun. That was
Yeah.
amazing. Like he's
Yeah, he's
actually
awesome.
talented. So I didn't think the guy's actually talented. Give him some props. By the way, it's not that I didn't like the rap one with those guys. My issue, I don't like halftime shows because I hate people who play songs in the car halfway through and turn them off and then switch to another song. If I'm listening to a song I like, it needs to be from start to finish. So when you do these halftime shows and you just abbreviate have a truncated version, Josh, of every song, it doesn't do it for me. If it's a song I
Ah,
really like, I want to listen to the song. I'd rather them do 4 full songs instead of 15 30-second songs. That's what it is for me.
wholeheartedly disagree.
Of
I
course you would.
give me the Power Hour version of that guy playing the music, man. It's the best. It's the best. I don't want Usher to play nice and slow for 4 minutes during the halftime of the Super Bowl. I want the 30-second best part of it and then get into the next thing.
Well, I
And
don't
you
want
get Lil
Usher to
Jon
play
out there being
anything.
like, yeah,
I don't
it's gonna
want
be
Usher to
great.
play anything at the Super Bowl.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
Big Usher guy?
Who isn't?
Me. Anyway, let's keep it moving. But yeah,
Who's
prize
not
picks,
an
man.
Ursher fan?
Check it out. Link in the description chat. 100% first match deposit bonus up to $100. Free month of everything we have at Odd Shopper and a Christian McCaffrey free square for Sunday. Good time to jump in. Portland at OKC. All right, so the Portland Trailblazers. There we go. Portland Trailblazers, huge dogs on the road against the Thunder. Is this the lowest aggregate ownership we're seeing on any team today?
Yeah, I would imagine 8% to Malcolm Brogdon is the high mark. If I look, yes, they have 21% aggregate ownership. Next closest team is currently Indiana at 36, but that will come up slightly. Knicks and Nets are not too far behind.
Are you doing anything with Portland?
I have 2% of Malcolm Brogdon, and that is it. It is pretty difficult to get to these dudes, assuming they run out the same starting lineup they ran before. Like, you want to get to a little bit of Anthony Simons, or you want to get a couple shares of DeAndre Ayton. Like, there's something there, but as a whole, this looks pretty bad. Terrible spot. OKC's defense is good, and they don't like. Oklahoma City gets up for every game. I don't think Portland's going to like sneak up on the Thunder tonight. It's a bad spot for the Blazers.
On the Thunder side of things, I mentioned earlier in the show, you have Jokic You have Anthony Davis with no LeBron. You have SGA. We are getting some ownership here, and look, rightfully so. Right? Jalen Williams is getting 28. SGA is getting 27, 28. Chet Holmgren, 7,100 there against this Portland front court. That looks mildly appealing today in this spot.
Well, considering I have 64% Chet at this moment.
There you go.
It also looks mildly appealing to me. He is currently my third most exposed player on today's slate, and I'm very happy to do it. Talking in the 1.2 plus fantasy point per minute range for today's matchup. Now, we do have him slightly negatively leveraged. We have Jalen Williams aggressively negatively leveraged. I'm a little bit lighter on Jalen Williams, but still getting 20% there. Shea for 10K against this garbage Portland team should have his free reign of whatever he wants to do to these dudes. I'm getting to a little bit of $4,900 Lou Dort. That's just sort of like a random value-ish small forward, but Giddey, I'm not getting to nearly as much. He's 5,800 point guard, shooting guard. He is a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy, but the minutes are relatively limited for him, so it kind of bites his upside out. I think Chet Holmgren is the best thing you can get to from OKC. That's not Shea, obviously.
Yeah. The Chet Holmgren price just seems a little low. I mean, I know that he hasn't been crushing lately, but you're also talking about a particularly good matchup. I mean, last time out he faced Minnesota, then Utah, whatever. Clippers, Lakers. He's had a run of some spots that weren't amazing. He did face Portland on the 11th of January, but he played 20 minutes because they won, ready for this, Josh, 139-77. So that could be a bit of an issue here. 139-77 last time they faced the Trailblazers, but he had 31 fantasy points in 20 minutes. He was 9 of 13 shooting. So it's not like he lacked efficiency by any stretch. He was a 1.5 fantasy point per minute player in that game. It's just, you need it not to get so out of control that all of these guys are off the floor midway through the third. And that is a legitimate issue.
Yeah, it's not going to help that the 30th ranked offense is facing the 7th ranked defense, and the 3rd ranked offense is facing the 22nd ranked defense. This is a bad recipe for the Portland Trailblazers.
But it's also a 5-game slate. So, I mean,
you got to get to something.
You have to bite the bullet on this and be like, all right, this is just a good spot.
Yeah.
Anything else for OKC?
Hard to say anything other than the starting 5. And we're seeing that in the ownership. No one outside the starting 5 has ownership north of 3%.
All right. How about this Utah team? Let's get in the Jazz a little bit here. I want to pull up the boom bust tool and take a look at something as well. But now,
this team is insane today.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to look at. So we have Colin Sexton north of 33% ownership. Kelly Olynyk, man, nobody has been a thorn in my side over the years more than Kelly Olynyk. But at that price point, he's Kelly Olynyk's just the type of guy that he's so hit or miss. And if the threes start falling a little bit, right? And I know he hasn't been attempting nearly as many as he used to, but if he gets it going, you could find yourself with a pretty, like, he just has those games where you look at it and you're like, wait, he has 10 and 10 in the first 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And then other times a complete and total ghost.
Yeah.
But going up against the Pelicans here, what do you make of this? And if you don't mind, let's pull the boom bust tool up and take a look at this too. I want to see what some of the leverage scores are on these guys.
It's mostly negative.
I figured
big time negative to Sexton, big time negative to Simone Fontecchio. They are the two guys that I'm getting the most of. I have 64% Sexton, 24% Simone Fontecchio. Sexton's been a revelation as of late. Minutes are up in a big way. Rates are up in a big way. 1.35 fantasy points per minute over the past 30 days for Colin Sexton. His usage is in and around 30%. His assist rate now is in and around 30% now that he's moved into this new look starting lineup. He just looks really good to me, and I am very happy to get to him. I do see the negative leverage, but I will find a way to get different elsewhere in the lineup. I think Sexton is very clearly the best guy you can get to. And then you get to the other 6 dudes that are all basically projected for 15% ownership. John Collins, Jordan Clarkson, Kelly Olynyk, Chris Dunn, Lauri Markkanen, Simone Fontecchio. They're all basically projected for 15% ownership. Fontecchio is the only guy I'm over the field to. I am under on Collins, Clarkson, Olynyk, Dunn, and Markkanen, which is kind of what the boom bust tool is showing, nobody is really jumping out as like oh, that's the Jazz guy you should get to. They're all available for you today. That we know their rotations. They do wiggle the minutes a little bit, but you can conceivably get yourself to 8 different Utah Jazz guys. Like Walker Kessler at 5K at 3% ownership. I'm intrigued by that to a degree for the size of what this slate is. He's not really pulling any ownership, but like I think there are 8 legitimate options today from the Utah Jazz.
Could be Travis said point Kelly Olynyk on Houston was the man. You know, I do remember that, but I also remember last year there was a period where Kelly Olynyk, after they like shipped everybody off, didn't they make some significant moves midway through the year last season?
Who? The Jazz?
Yeah.
Yeah, they traded Mike Conley. And
I couldn't remember if it was midway through the year or if it was trade. I guess it was around the trade deadline, right?
It was. Yeah.
I remember doing the betting video over on the Odd Shopper channel. Come follow us, by the way. We're putting out some good stuff over there. If you're into the betting stuff, we got you, man. I remember just hammering Kelly Olynyk over assists every single game for like 2 straight weeks before it adjusted. It was like 3.5, no real juice on the over. Dude was just ripping off 6, 7, 8 assists per game for a stretch there in Utah last year. Like he can do that stuff.
Yeah. He's going to end up somewhere else, I would imagine, by the deadline, but I don't know. We'll see.
Man's been around for a while.
If
you were to prioritize these, I know you mentioned Fontecchio, but one more time for Utah, since there's just so much, we have 7 guys getting double-digit ownership right now. Low double digits on most of them, but Markkanen, Dunn, Collins, Clarkson, Fontecchio, Olynyk, Colin Sexton. If you were to prioritize, and don't feel like you have to go through all 7, what are your top 3 for Utah?
Sexton, Fontecchio, and probably Jordan Clarkson.
Okay. All right.
And as always, you're always available to play the best players on the team. So if you want to get to Lauri Markkanen in this spot, by all means.
The New Orleans Pelicans. You said you had under PRA for Zion today?
Sure do.
All right. He is also the most, in our boom bust tool, the most negatively leveraged player on the New Orleans Pelicans, which is, you might be on to something here. 28%.
I usually am.
20% optimal. This is one of those spots at 7,400. How about this? I'm going to ask you a question here. Would you rather play Chet Holmgren? Let's say you're in the utility spot, right? You have 7,400.
Yes.
Chet Holmgren or Zion?
Chet, I guess. I got him projected better.
Yeah.
I have Chet. Let's see, where did it go? I have Zion at 39.3. I have Chet at 39.9. So yeah, give me Chet.
Okay. So then what are you doing with because obviously even if you're betting unders on stuff, it doesn't mean that you might not like a guy, especially if they're positively leveraged, right? Like you may say, hey, the under is the right spot here from a betting or a prize picks perspective, but like he's still, positively leveraged. I think he should be higher owned than he is, this and that. But getting to looking at the ownership on Zion today from just an overall DFS perspective, what do you make of Zion?
He looks fine. He's probably the best option you can get to from New Orleans, pulling 28% ownership. Like you've mentioned, he is negatively leveraged. I have 16%, but he's probably the best guy you can get to here because 7,400 power forward is a really nice price and positionality for him. That's where it gets weird. Like you could take an under. That doesn't mean you don't like that dude. If Zion's 5,500, then I might be betting the under and he's my most exposed player. Similarly, if Zion is like if I bet an over but his price is 9K, like I'm probably not going to get to him all that much in DFS. They're just not the same sort of things. But I think Zion is the guy you want to get to first. I like Ingram for 7,600 guard forward eligibility. We're seeing CJ McCollum pull a lot more ownership than Brandon Ingram. We're seeing CJ also be negatively leveraged, and Brandon Ingram is plus 5.4, so the positive leveraged guy. Turns out Brandon Ingram is the guy that I'm getting over the field to. 16% for me, 9% to the field. They are probably the only three guys you feel comfortable getting to. Maybe you sprinkle in a little Herb Jones. He's 4% owned, but I think the best thing that you want to get to here, Zion, Ingram, and then McCollum.
Okay. So from this game, the ownership going to both sides. I mean, we have three guys. We have Sexton, Zion, CJ McCollum, 20+%. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. I mean, we only have one other game to get to, right? One other game.
Yeah, but it is the most important one
with LeBron James. Yeah, it's significant. Rui Hachimura. So God, that's a spot right there with LeBron out. So let's make it happen. Before we do, just shout out to a couple people here. Our own Tommy Stokey. How about this? Handles a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. 113K the other day. Just clicking literally just clicked buttons, ran the Sims, and hit 113,000, Josh. Pretty insane.
That's not how I want to read it. I want to see poured over everything and use the tool for hours. Considering that's the way that I've been handling a lot of this. But no, it's awesome. It's awesome to see.
I told you too. I was like, man, this is great. But at the same time, I mentioned to you, we were texting yesterday. I had the exact same lineup in a different contest.
Oh.
And in a larger field contest, it came in 10th.
Okay.
And I was like, man, that's great. But damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's a lot of dollars, man.
Sean Geezy just every day.
Yeah. I'm over that dude too.
Tweeted us Monster Night on DK. Shout out to the Stochastic crew. Best tools and content in the game. Just continues to crush. I saw him up top in the 4-point play as well. That was a big one. That was 100K 4-point play yesterday. 10K to first. I know he chopped it. Yeah, he chopped it with a few others. So like another $5,000-$6,000 day for him. Showed you yesterday. Jorge turned 60 in the 6,700 with the NFL Sims. Our boy Peter Hanley, $50,000 with the Sims. So I mean, the proof's in the pudding. It speaks for itself. If you guys ever wanted to check this out, I feel comfortable saying it's a pretty revolutionary product and worth every penny. Links in the description and in chat, Josh. But I do feel I feel pretty good about saying that, just knowing that you could tell, like somebody like myself, I'm not smart enough to create my own Sims and all of that. Like this puts you back in the game and makes it so like you can actually get really good lineups where look, it's running 40,000 simulations. And essentially 40,000 contest simulations. And you're seeing like, how often did this lineup win in the simulations? What is the simulated ROI across these tens of thousands of Sims? And then you can make ROI adjustments. You can boost, you can negatively boost guys. You can upload your own projections, adjust ownership. There's a lot you can do. You don't want to go crazy, but there's so much you can do to kind of customize these. But even if you didn't want to, and you just wanted to get good lineups that you know are better than hand building lineups, I don't think there's a better option in the game right now, man.
No, it's exceptional. It's perfect. Like for anybody that's apprehensive about it, even if you want to have a big hand in the lineups that you build, like you look at it and you're like, no, I want to make sure that I have Zion Williamson and Lauri Markkanen in my lineups. What the Sims tool is going to allow you to do is just get the best possible version of that lineup if you want it. So you can be more hands-on and more granular with the things you want. It's just going to make you have the best pre-lock ROI lineups using the components that you're looking for. That's the big piece. If you want to be a hand builder, this is actually the best way to do it. Hand build the pieces that you want the most and then find out what is the most optimal way to construct that lineup.
Oh, that's a great call. I didn't think about that. Yeah. You could do the same thing with the lineup generator in that sense too.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you want to have more control over like if you're only playing 3 lineups or something like that, or even 1 lineup, like the costs are a thing in that point. Like you might be playing higher dollar contests, but you can just get the best version of whatever you need instead of just hoping that you did. Because if you're taking one of those guys that aren't owned as much, you're probably giving up some fantasy points somewhere. You want to be able to round out that lineup in the best possible way. That's what the Sims tool is doing for you.
Hell yeah. Oh, and I forgot, Eric Lindquist with the Sims tool, 30,000 last night in the fadeaway. So,
yes, he did. Yes, he did. Fully happened because of all of my excellent advice during the deeper dive yesterday.
Well, here's what I'll say. It works.
Yeah.
Dope Heathen said it's true. I tried it for a week and cast every day compared to the dog shit lineups I put in. Like they might not even been dog shit. It's just in this day and age, it's so tough to build good lineups by hand.
Yeah.
It's just with advanced tools, it makes things a lot more difficult for sure.
I think
And
Tom had a couple big hits over the weekend too. So
yeah,
add
that's
that
like
to the
every
list.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. Add that to the list.
By the way, lineup generator too. If you just wanted to try something like at a much more affordable price point, that is using simulations. A lot of people don't know that, and it's
Yeah.
giving you optimal percentage and how contrarian or chalky every lineup is. You can save the ones you want, discard the ones you don't. See all your exposures, all your stacks if it's for NFL, like all of that stuff, and then upload them straight to CSV, and it's optimized for mobile. That's a much more affordable spot too. If you're just looking to get into the game, into the tools game, and you're trying to just kind of wade in slowly. All that's down in the description and chat, guys. And if you ever have any questions, hit me up on Twitter. My DMs are open. Greg's happy to help. He did a lot of tutorials with that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got you covered. Don't think you're just going into this blind. Lakers and the Clippers. All right. So no LeBron James today.
No.
We got that news early.
Yep.
And now you're getting Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, Russell, Anthony Davis. It's funny because you take LeBron James off the floor. You're not a lot of spots like this where you take a guy off the floor. The only one that really benefits is whoever's getting the additional playing time. When you take LeBron James off the floor, everyone's ownership goes up exponentially.
Yeah. You're freeing up usage, 36 minutes, one of the highest assist rates, one of the higher rebounding rates. Like it opens up everything. And you're seeing that right now. 59% ownership coming into a $3,700 small forward, power forward, Rui Hachimura. I came in a minute and a half below the site. We have 26 and a half. I have 25. He's in 72% of my lineups. It's just value that you can't overlook today. It's the easiest piece of value you can get to. Similar story here. Like D'Angelo Russell with no LeBron around is obviously going to have a bigger assist rate. He's going to have the opportunity to shoot more. He's 6,500. He's projected for 45% ownership. I have 68% of him. Now, do we have him as a negative leverage play? Yeah, but you're going to see that happen at the top. When you start getting guys be 41% optimal, 33% optimal for Russell, 35 for Reeves, 30 for Taurean Prince, 25 for AD. You might see some negative leverage, but you're getting the guys that are most frequently in optimal lineups. And I'm seeing that in my exposures. I've got 30% of Prince. I am under the field on Austin Reeves, but I still have 30% of him. He just happens to be 51% owned. I'm getting a little bit of Christian Wood as the backup. I don't love that at all, and I hope that goes away. Might have gave him a couple extra minutes more than I should have. And then AD, 10,200, power forward center. Power forward really helps. He's 25% owned. We have him 24% optimal. I mean, if you are interested in it, Anthony Davis is certainly a great way to pay up for today, and the rest of his teammates make it really easy to be able to afford him.
I just saw Eric shouted you out in that tweet as well. That was very nice.
He's well aware of how great all of my deeper dive advice is. If you guys watch that tonight from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, maybe y'all learn something.
Very possible. Lakers, we talked about this, and it's something I've asked you a lot. I ask you again because some people aren't able to tune into every show. But like, there used to be this kind of stigma about playing too many guys from the same team. You think that that is no longer a thing?
Yeah, I do.
And the reason is
correlation should be handled elsewhere. And if that lineup is still going to project well, it is. You'll see, like, and you can even see this if you just go evaluate pro lineups after the fact on days where these guys can be owned. They're jamming these dudes, and you're seeing it immediately.
Post-contest simulator for that.
Yep. And like on a 5-game slate, like if you're getting 4 Lakers in a lineup, you should not be concerned at all. Like if you're getting $3,800 Taurean Prince, $3,700 Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, and Anthony Davis, like there's no problem with that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I just know
it's all about it's all about the salary. They're giving up. They are not like if you were just like, okay, DraftKings can start the day over today and reprice these guys knowing LeBron James is out. You see massive salary jumps for all of these dudes. So you got to take advantage of that value because they're giving it to you.
Exactly. And I just know some people have a real aversion to that, which is why I ask you. A lot of people look at them like, I can't play 4 Lakers in a lineup today. You know what I mean? They just can't. Yeah. It's like a mental block there. Yeah, there shouldn't be. You're right. There shouldn't be. Uh, Let me ask you, I know you kind of touched on it, but just because it's such an important part of this show and this slate, if you're ordering by priority the Lakers, how do you do it?
That's a good question. By the way, I have four-man Lakers stacks and 18 three-man Lakers stacks right now.
Okay.
If I'm prioritizing the Lakers, I think it's Rui Hachimura one for what it creates for you. The fact that he has the MPE 3,700 could play more than the 25 minutes that I gave him. He's just going to look even better. I think I think Austin Reeves 2, Russell 3, AD 4, Prince 5.
All right.
Because
Yeah,
AD can obviously just go out there and like he could have a raw point score that can become a problem, whereas you don't really see that out of the rest of these dudes.
Rui though at 3,700. I mean,
You
that
just I don't know what you do there. Like
exactly.
it's just too cheap.
If they had the time to preemptively price Rui up 53,
No, I think it'd be less than that, but
you
like,
think like
40,
46 or something?
45, 46.
Yeah,
Yeah.
46. Okay. But still vastly underpriced for what he should be.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically going to get like a free $700 for all of these dudes. So you're talking about like a free player. If you, five guys at $700 is $3,500.
For
It's like a
sure.
free min salary dude in your lineup just by playing the Lakers.
We talked about Mason Plumlee a lot last time you and I were on the show that the Clippers were
Yeah.
on the slate. With Zubac still out, what do we make of the playing time today for Plumlee? He's seen 16, 28, and 15. I know he had been returning and there was talk that he'd be eased into it slowly and all of this stuff, which is funny because I think he played 28 minutes in that game.
Yeah.
Right. And then played 15 minutes the game following that. So is there rhyme or reason to this?
Probably not. We went 26 minutes and we have him grading out really well 30% optimal, 30% owned. I went 22 minutes,
Okay.
but I have 44% Mason Plumlee because that price is just awesome. It's really good value. He's a 1.05 to 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy. The price is perfect. The matchup isn't all that like you don't want a ton of AD, but AD without LeBron in my assumption, is going to lean a little bit more on him wanting to do offense than defense. So I think that kind of helps Mason Plumlee a little bit. AD has to conserve the tank a little bit differently, but when push comes to shove, he's just a really interesting point per dollar play, the best point per dollar play that I see on the Clippers. And I am getting to some of these guys. I'm getting to James Harden in 10% of my lineups. We have him 13% optimal. I have 22% Kawhi Leonard, $8,600 small forward, power forward. We have him as the most positive leverage play from the Clippers. Only guy that I'm not really getting to that I wish that I was is Paul George. So I assume tonight ends up being a Paul George night because I don't have him.
All right, you ready to wrap this up with little positional rankings as we've been doing at the end of each
Let's
show?
do it.
All right,
Do
let's
it.
go point guard. How do you want to structure it? Do you want to go favorite top tier, favorite value? What's the best way to do it on a 5-game slate? Because it's kind of
I'm,
spread out.
I'm kind of just gonna give holistic thoughts.
Yeah, let's do
Just
it. Let's do it.
we'll figure it out. D'Angelo Russell, Colin Sexton, and Austin Reeves are all pulling north of 35% ownership, upwards of 50, and I have no disagreements with the three of those dudes. They all look great. They all look like really nice options. Clearly paying up for Shea is going to be fine. I think Spencer Dinwiddie is the sneakiest guy at only 12%.
Shooting guard.
Shooting guard. Obviously, some of those guys overlap. Austin Reeves, Colin Sexton, similar story. Spencer Dinwiddie as a bit of a sneak, but this one's kind of gross. $8,500 Paul George is the most expensive shooting guard you can get to. The only guys owned more than 20% are Colin Sexton and Austin Reeves. So I think we're just borrowing from the point guard spot and moving it over here to shooting guard. I don't even have like a real stand on anybody else.
All right, so now you can take Rui at small forward or power forward, however you want to do this. Whatever makes it easier for you is fine with me. But he's going to be in the conversation for sure.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, is it Kawhi and Rui here?
So Kawhi is the guy that I am probably most over the field on in terms of relative to ownership. I've got 22. He's 10% owned. He is the most expensive small forward at 8,600. Jalen Williams, outside of Rui is the guy pulling the most ownership, and I don't really have much of a disagreement here. 6,700 in a fantastic matchup. Fontecchio as well if you're looking for value at the bottom.
What about power forward?
Power forward. Takes me a second to refilter.
Yeah, you're good.
So obviously Rui again. We don't really have to add to that. Jalen Williams again. Zion is pulling just as much ownership as Jalen Williams, so he certainly has to be in the discussion. For me personally, though, the guy that I'm most interested in here that the public doesn't seem to be is right now $8,600 power forward center Julius Randle, who's coming in $1,600 cheaper than AD, second most expensive guy at the position.
And then center, we've got Chet Holmgren. You got Randall there. You got Siakam there. Claxton there, pretty solid play. Miles Turner there. Look, night in and night out, this is usually a pretty loaded position, and oftentimes good mid-range options as well. No, Jokic obviously at the top as well.
Yeah, it goes without saying that Anthony Davis and Nikola Jokic are at this spot. Chet Holmgren is the guy that I'm getting to the most, and he is the center I like the most. I like the value for Mason Plumlee. He is also pulling some ownership, so it doesn't feel outlandish. And then I guess my favorite GPP version of a center-only guy is going to be Nick Claxton at 6,800. He's 15% owned, and I have 30.
Before you guys go, since I know, not everyone's a premium sub, and we get that. You're always welcome. We'd love to have you join. And if you want to, make sure that if you do decide to sign up, hit us up in the Discord, say hello, check out all the tools on top of the Sims. But looking at the boom bust tool, outside of TJ McConnell, who's the most positively leveraged right now, I think we both agree that'll change depending on Nembhard, but also just the ownership on McConnell.
He's not going like overlooked on a 5-game slate ever.
No, not in a 239 total game. I know the matchup isn't great, as far as pace goes and defense with the Nuggets, but it's still a quality atmosphere in a 5-game slate where a lot of these other games aren't. Highest leverage play right now is Pascal Siakam with 8.5% leverage. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, look, Siakam's played what has he played? 1 game so far with Toronto?
I think that is the exact same thing that's happening for TJ McConnell.
I think you're right. Also, only 30 minutes in that game. But what if Siakam at 7,800 without Halliburton? What if it's like, okay, no, he actually is going to get, Carlisle's like, well, no, now he's playing 36 minutes.
Yeah, he's a great play today. No disagreements there. But his positive leverage is going to look different later.
I agree.
When that ownership just simply comes up and catches up for the fact that Halliburton is ruled out.
Agreed.
That's a 10 a.m. in the morning problem.
Didn't spend a lot of time on him. So one of those guys that I wanted to point out before we left. Hey,
look, he's an all NBA player that doesn't have his other all NBA player on the team with him. We just explained what that happened, how that affects Anthony Davis. It's going to affect Pascal Siakam too in the positive.
Yeah, that's pretty helpful stuff. And appreciate you guys getting us well over 100 likes today on the show. Follow Josh at Josh Engleman. I'm at Laffy_D. Shout out to Jordan for producing this show. You on the deeper dive tonight?
I am indeed.
You got the deeper dive live before lock. What else you got going on? I know you got the prize picks on the Odd Shopper channel.
Prize picks are out. Contenders videos are on the DFS channel. Those are both posted for DraftKings and FanDuel, and they were recorded after the Tyrese Halliburton news, so they are up to date.
Gotta love basketball, man. I'll have my picks for every NFL game out tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Only 2, but we're gonna get
every NFL game. You got to say it like that, like you're giving out 100
that's
picks.
the video. That's the title of the video. Hey, we're coming off a plus 580 parlay win for that Tampa game. You know what I mean?
Nice.
We had a nice little 2-team tease that just snuck through. Teased the Niners and the Ravens down to 2.5. And I mean, Ravens obviously took care of business, but Niners needed all 60 minutes to get to cover that by the hook. So
yes, they did.
Listen, man, you never, when you win bets, you never complain about how they got there. You know what I mean? You just got to accept it. You're going to take bad beats, and once in a while, you get a little bit fortunate. So that's how we'll do it. Anyway, thanks, guys. We'll see you back here for the next one on the NBA Strategy Show. Peace.